There is a misconception about life that most of us have quietly accepted. That is, if life gets comfortable enough, or easy enough, or convenient enough, or if we acquire enough stuff, then we'll finally be happy. And honestly, that all sounds reasonable. Who doesn't want less stress, more convenience, more entertainment, more control? And some people are so connected with those things that they spend a lifetime chasing them, but never achieving them. But here's the strange thing. We are living in the most comfortable era in human history. Most people today living in a first world country with modern conveniences want for nothing. We almost don't even have to leave our homes. We can work from home. We can shop from home. We can go to school from home. We have access to all kinds of entertainment from home. All of this and more, and yet we're the most anxious generation in history. That should make us stop and think. Maybe it's not comfort and convenience that makes us happy. In fact, all of that stuff might be making us miserable. And here's a serious reality check. Right now, about 1 in 5 US adults have an anxiety disorder in a given year, and roughly the same number report ongoing anxiety symptoms. Nearly 1 in 3 teenagers in the US will meet the criteria for an anxiety disorder by the time they're 18. And around 20% report significant anxiety symptoms in a given period, even though they're living with more comfort and convenience than any other generation before them. Those numbers aren't small blips. They reflect a real struggle. And globally, hundreds of millions of people deal with anxiety. It's one of the most common mental health challenges worldwide. So clearly, comfort alone isn't solving the problem. If anything, sometimes it seems to make it worse. Now, let me be clear. Comfort itself is not evil or bad. A warm home, reliable transportation, good medical care, an abundance of food and entertainment, those are blessings and we should all be thankful. Now, comfort isn't the enemy. It becomes a problem when it stops being something you use and starts being something you live for. Because growth almost always requires some level of discomfort. You see, when comfort becomes the goal, we avoid difficulty, we avoid responsibility, we avoid growth, and eventually we avoid purpose. And a life without purpose might feel calm for a while, but it rarely stays that way. Look, we are wired to like comfort. Your brain wants efficiency, it wants safety, it wants minimal effort. And modern culture amplifies that. We have food delivery instantly, entertainment on demand, climate control everywhere. We have endless distractions, and none of that is inherently wrong. But when you never push against resistance, when the goal is to avoid it at all costs, you start losing your capacity to handle life when resistance shows up anyway, when difficult time comes, when conflict arises, and it always does. History actually gives us a powerful example of what happens when comfort becomes the priority. We have to look no further than ancient Rome. Now, early Rome was marked by discipline, duty, sacrifice, and service. At times, it was hard living. All of those things built a great and vast empire. But as Rome became wealthy and comfortable, status began to matter more than character. Excess became a sign of success. Comfort and pleasure were no longer occasional, they were expected. Leaders and citizens alike grew accustomed to ease rather than restraint. Luxury replaced simplicity, entertainment replaced responsibility, personal pleasure replaced public virtue. Homes grew more extravagant. Entertainment became constant. Public life turned towards pleasure instead of responsibility. And over time, that shift weakened the habits that had made Rome strong in the first place. Comfort increased, but resilience declined. And eventually, when real pressure came, economic pressure, military and moral pressure, Rome struggled to hold it together. Now, history is never simple, and Rome didn't fall just because of comfort. But excessive comfort definitely softened a culture that once thrived on discipline. And that pattern shows up again and again in history. And I think that it is evident in most of the developed world today. And here's the part that hits close to home. You don't need to look to Rome. You can see this in everyday life today. Choosing scrolling instead of reading, convenience food instead of healthy food, silence instead of speaking the truth, comfort instead of conviction. Little choices repeated daily. Those are the things, the habits that shape who you become. And here's a mindset shift that changed a lot for me. Discomfort isn't usually the enemy. It's often a good training ground. Think about it. When you go to the gym, it's often uncomfortable. Exercise hurts. Laying on the couch watching TV is much more comfortable. Skill development, it takes work. If you want to learn how to play guitar, it's going to take daily practice. Leadership takes discipline to learn and restraint to master. And growing in faith means being in the Word every day. Building good character means sometimes doing the hard things, enduring some pain. And none of those things I mentioned grow if we remain in our comfort zone. They grow under pressure, under resistance, under challenge. And that doesn't mean seeking suffering for its own sake, but it does mean stop running from necessary difficulty. President John F. Kennedy said it best during his 1962 speech challenging the United States to go to the moon. He said, quote, "We choose to go to the moon and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard." You see, if going to the moon was easy, every country on Earth would have done it. But they didn't, because it's hard, incredibly hard. Now, hard things aren't honorable just because they're hard. They become honorable when they serve something bigger than comfort, when they build character, when they help others, or move us towards purpose. Here's what I'd like for you to consider. I'd like to see you reject comfort as the highest aim and instead pursue purpose, conviction, and resilient character. And here are some practical steps to achieve this. 1, do one hard thing every day. Something small but intentional. Start learning a new skill. Maybe do an extra workout set, or commit to begin reading a book instead of scrolling, looking for those funny cat videos. Initiate a tough conversation. You're training resilience and you're building good character. 2, ask a better question. Instead of, is this comfortable? Ask, is this worth it? What do I get out of an hour surfing social media? How does eating a box of donuts further my fitness goals? Does avoiding that tough conversation solve the problem or prolong it? That one question, is it worth it, changes decisions fast. 3, build convictions before crisis. Because when life hits, and it will, comfort won't carry you. Convictions will. Mental, physical, and spiritual strength need to be built before you need them, before you are tested. Know what you believe and why. Know what matters. Practice living it now, because today is a dress rehearsal for tomorrow. And 4, reduce passive comfort. Don't eliminate it, just reduce it. Less endless entertainment, less distraction, more intentional living. Comfort should serve you, not rule you. Comfort should be the reward for hard work, not a replacement for it. Scripture constantly shows growth through testing, through hardship. Faith is refined like gold, perseverance producing character. Not because hardship is good, but because God often shapes us through it. And that's where convictions deepen. That's where strength forms. When life gets hard, embrace it. Attack it head on. Say to yourself, this thing is really hard, but perseverance will make me a better man. Look, comfort feels good in the moment, but purpose feels better in the long run. Peace usually doesn't come from avoiding difficulty. It comes from becoming the kind of person who faces it, who keeps moving forward when every fiber of your being tells you to stop. So don't chase comfort as your highest goal. Chase growth, chase purpose, chase conviction, and comfort will find its proper place. My name is Dennis Gill, and this is the Faith and Fortitude Project. Thank you very much for watching to the end. And if you benefited from this message, please like and share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, faith first, fortitude always. Now let's get after it.